Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome back to Album Review Saturdays 2026, episode 15. That's right. It's that time where we do these album reviews. It is an extension of the article section on beyondyourradio.com, where I wrote these three here shown, articles about my review of these records. Now, there are links there, but we do this video version because some people don't like to read. No, we do these video versions because normally I'm joined by Deb Arlington Chicks Maloney, but she couldn't join me this weekend. But in that case, I normally go above and beyond. So there's going to be extras at the end of these three. Stay in there and hang in there with me if you already read. If not, these are going to be some really cool records for you to check out. So this is an album review Saturday 2026 that kind of steps into going off the reservations in different ways, in the accessibility factors, the tempting of audio fate, as well as drifting off certain standard paths that people might have been associated with or familiar with when you hear an artist. The brink of what they're doing is the question here, right? It's good to push. It's to seek out the variety of levels of exploration in these three albums are in a very uniquely different sound arena, but they are ultimately finding their sincerity and attempting to make their place, their stamp on a sound they wish to identify as their own, or twist something you might expect into something you weren't expecting, or going beyond maybe what you wish or what you wanted. The first is a quantum mechanics of progressive rock that instrumentally finds its way into the rhythm of your ears as much as it does a fantastical position in the way it plays with the genre and its expressions. Our middle album here is a feast of punk-laden experimental push and pull, thriving in the noise arena and desperate deluge of lyrical pressure and punishing rock, seemingly subjugated by a force you can't possibly understand in one listen. Finally, we finish with a prolific piano player drawn to a different melodic composition that he is profoundly known for. But for those that have held on to his metamorphosis as this has been going on, the rewards of this non-conventional structure finally find their place in Indigo Park. We don't stop there either. Again, let's hang in there. I've got other albums here. I think at least 4 or 5 more I can rattle off and talk about. So let's start off with an excellent progressive rock record here by a band called Polymath, Poly-Math, Something Deeply Hidden. Instrumental progressive rock under the label of the Laser's Edge. You had me at the Laser's Edge, really. I mean, I'm not always going to be smitten with all of what Ken Golden appreciates, but when it comes to new projects in the progressive area and rock, and man, he's astounding me, to be honest with you, how he finds these guys while these other YouTubers and other people talk about rock is dead, I can't stand this crap, blah, blah, blah. No, Ken finds these and makes these, and it's fantastic. That's why he's the professor of prog, I guess. You can't dismiss this, music lovers. You can't. Okay, this is just a critique, a ride or die kind of thing, like he talks about. He can open a whole new world of excellent musicianship for you to explore, appreciate, and connect with, despite these naysayers out there that we talk about. This is Polymath, and if you don't fall in love with this percussive, rhythmic, and incredibly tight musicianship with this something deeply hidden, there's something deeply wrong with your musical position. Time for an alteration to your sound senses in the vein of instrumentally progressive Rush meets that of the Mars Volta and even the tremendous King Crimson. Yeah, those are high accolades. Oh, I agree. This is a perfect blending of conceptualism, technicality, and improvisational development, which truly doesn't come around that often. There's usually something lost in that mix. This is undoubtedly and doubly dosed because the concept is a mathematical and physical meshing, which the instrumentation manifests in mechanics, um, but also in the living, breathing flow and the process that is undeniably connecting in all the worlds through metaphysics and audio composition. This entire record, it's grounded, it's brilliant, it's never samey. It just keeps adding a layer and layer of growth to each song, manifesting that deeply hidden, as it does tremendously in No Such Thing as Now. As well as the 1, 2, 3, 4 part body problem. But truly, at the center of this manifesto of perfection is the heart and beat of polyrhythmic paces that become the overall construct, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not the scholar that Ken Golden is, but this is kind of allowing this project to really connect with anybody. At the heart, the encapsulating the movement and ultimately kind of brimming with true mathematically manipulated musical expression. Um, am I having a great time with this record? Yes, I had. I'm still having a great time with it, and that's just no question. This quartet is slaying it in every direction they choose. Whether they work themselves into it or through it, it's kind of like watching a well-told old storyline in a television series that never backs itself into some inescapable corner. There's no suspension of disbelief, just great, honest connection to the instruments, the stream of connectivity or creativity, and their mechanical, mathematical, and emotional skill set required to pull this thing off. To realize the timing for the bridges that are in this, the immersion of sound enhancements via the keyboard or production, as well as crescendos and the passiveness in it too. There's a passive area in this. The critics, I'm imagining, are going to love this. The critical thinking that even went into this, I'll pack their wallop in varietals. It's absolutely mesmerizing audio trip. I love it. This London band has a really excellently developed work of both a real thinker, as we know they call it that, I have a thinker too. I've been watching The Traders, sue me. And that of a scientific amalgamation of audio theory for the 21st century, though. In layman's terms, let me put it to you this way. This is a progressive rocker's definite tell it on the mountain moment. The Laser's Edge has another album in the top 10 albums of the year again, as I don't hear this any other way but absolutely impeccable. It's not a good album cover. Oh, man. Okay. Prostitute. Attempted Martyr. No, I didn't say that in Scottish. It's Martyr. Yes, I'm aware that this record was released absolutely back in 2024. Was I aware back then? No. I'm sure most people weren't either for this Dearborn, Michigan alt-punk noise rock band. Mute Records, though, however, they were paying attention, and they snagged them up, rightfully so. And here we are at Attempted Martyr, which got re-released just at the end of March. Let's address the wow and the bad marketing side of this, okay? Just for the band's sake in this regard. I can't read it. So if I can't read your name and I can't read the title of the album without, I don't know, hieroglyphical explanation, there's no reason for that scripting whatsoever, in my opinion. First of all, your sound in the capital cursives is not even representative by the audio. And it's nearly, again, illegible. I can't read it. No offense. Okay, so however, you are on the offensive for this entire record. It's not offensive in the album cover of that nature. This is what it's supposed to be. Um, it's an excellent naming of the album. I would just like to be able to read the name of the album. This is why it's on Album Review Saturday 2026, episode 15, because prostitutes re-release should find them an enormously energetic and waiting crowd for this kind of sound and stinging lyrical new punk throbbing delivery. While it cannot truly be considered for our top 26 albums of 2026, I really wanted to showcase what is ultimately, passionately, an engaging 42-minute, no holds barred audio onslaught that sketches everything down to the detail of noise, but it also it'll scratch that itch for Bad Brains, Idle, Swans, Death Grips. There's another band in there I can't think of. It's pristine audio production. Hell no. Should it be? I don't think so. The level of commitment that's necessary for this album's sound and the lyrical diatribe is one that is extremely real, and it's omnipresent in every track. The audio inclusion and manifestation, vocals to loops to grunging guitars, industrialized smothered horns, because I know there's not horns on this record. I don't think. Maybe there are. Just check out the closing tracks level of commitment and exhausting presentation for Harem Induction Hour. Which doesn't just start there. In fact, the sound is kind of haunting and harassing since the opening track, All Hail. Just a start to finish, rough cut, exceptional album, really. Do I know all he's saying? I don't. Exacerbating kind of through right off the bat, he's exacerbating this whole. I don't know. I wanted to hear more. I lean in. It's exhausting, and I get sucked in again. What I want is the band to show up at the doorstep of Electric City here in Buffalo and knock us around for about maybe an hour and a half. Can you imagine what that might be like? Well, unless you put this on from start to finish, you don't have a clue yet. And that's what I want you to get, but you got to. Besides the in-rolling sound layering, which definitely elevates the worldly aspect of the album's deep positions, there's a musicality and pressure building, which kind of, I don't know, kind of goes along with each stroke of the guitar, the bass, even when it clashes to an odd audio point. I would definitely hazard a guess that Chris Colte, who did the production on here, who did Madhu Mokhtar and The Armed, has his interesting ear in this, right? There's Middle Eastern and African morality, all potentially battling, ruining, falling, and violating any kind of creed. The song Body Meat, I can't even go there. You'll know the vocality here goes from angst to a troubling inaudibility that seems to sludge from somber to the edge of sobbing to an animalistic anguish that can only come from a depth of decimating dismay that the person emotionally feels and wants to project or get us to understand. It's kind of like this band is hurtling sound at the wall of the ugliness of humanity with everything they can muster. And obviously, an album of this nature is not for the faint of heart, as it will come calling to an uncomfortable audio position. But it's extremely intentful, important, and genuine to the very core. Step outside your comfort zone for attempted martyr, and just see how you feel when it's all said, moaned, and definitely done. Can you? I mean, did you get away with it? This is Bruce Hornsby's, I don't know, 19th album. I kind of lost track. Um, Bruce Hornsby has passed over a dozen records for sure. Um, they're either it's himself, it's a solo project with a band or of some making. He might be one of those performers that's talent is the reason I always look for those bands that have the and the. I mean, what it does is it takes it's his truthful, melodic, professional piano, songwriting, melodic manifestos and puts them with other bands, artists, and stuff. And I mean, whether it was with the Range or the Noisemakers, which is, I think this is the Noisemakers, or even checking the liner notes of all kinds of records he's been on to the tunes of hundreds. Don Henley's The End of the Innocents, I think. The Other Side of the Mirror by Stevie Nicks. Nick of Time, Bonnie Raitt. Storyville, Robbie Robertson. Under the Red Sky, Bob Dylan, as well as Willie Nelson, probably Bob Seger. Hell, he's even done Shaka Khan, Brandon Flowers from the Killers. Yeah, obviously the Grateful Dead, but also the Cowboy Junkies, and obviously with the Dead, he's been a prior with Garcia. So at maybe what's this 15, 16 albums in, he is still the melody man. But he's wildly been toying with it for years and years, kind of like a sound shifting, if you will, where from where he began. It does come back around. But here on Indigo Park, he's still making a very deep connection with it. And even though it's has an obtuse presence in places and the accompaniments are different, I've seen Bruce Hornsby solo. It is a performance that is probably unlike most, as many of you might know have seen him solo. He has no set list, basically. People just throw notes on stage. They're putting there before the show even starts. I mean, he plays just about anything and everything, even if he just plays a snippet, if he can remember how it's done or the melody or sound of it. And it's the audience participation in that is astounding. So when you think about it, for him to be at this level of albums, what are the likelihood of people being attracted to the newer records versus the old melodies of that in our generation? But that's why I'm bringing this to light here, because this is actually that connectivity that might allow people to come back to that are younger back to the older stuff. But of course, you know which songs are going to be the most requested. But when you think of Bruce Hornsby, you might think first of like Billy Joel and Elton John, maybe, and but Bruce is in there. Bruce is in that mix. Um, there might be the case for the last few years, and myself, I kind of stepped away a bit from him because he was touring and playing an influentially continued legacy of the Grateful Dead, and it did wreak a certain change for his craving improv jam position. I felt like as a solo artist, it was definitely making a different melodic connection with the piano. But he started to play other instruments. As a matter of fact, the piano is on this record. It is still a couple of great leads, but there's a lot more going on. He's playing 12-string guitar, harmonium, mellotron. Um, in fact, last week's album review Saturday, I talked about Charlie Puth's new record, and Charlie wanted Bruce on the record. When I heard the record, I thought Bruce was on the record because the first song, it's Mandolin Rain, kind of melody and playmanship that it identifies with Hornsby. He didn't play on it, but he was invited, and he said I wouldn't play on it because it's already been done. You did a great job. I couldn't add anything to it, so that's kind of cool. And that of course I found out from Rick Beato's interview with Puth. So that's how I used to identify him prior to their liner notes and pursuings by hearing him. You can hear his piano. His the way he plays is him. Um, a kudo to that young musician again for doing that. It's a testament to the unmistakable year after year that Hornsby has an effect on even newer artists. Indigo Park is a slice of beautifully placed audioized Americana, as only Bruce's vocal and melody delivers. Although some of it leans heavily on the speak long, inflective fun of songs, like remember Rainbow's Cadillac from Harbor Lights, which was about the boxer Rainbow. To see old Rainbow knock him down, it's a there's a presence in that in the Entropy Here, Rust in Peace recording, as well as Might As Well Be Me, Florinda, which also has that tempo blues jazz bop kind of thing going on. This album's title track, though, kicked it off in the familiarity we needed. The Virginian Piano Man's Guys was there. It was fitting. It was inviting, and that's obviously the title track. It allowed the entrance to be wide and comfortable, allowing us to walk through Indigo Park with a little bit more ease than maybe we've done in the past with other records. The surrounding stories and the variety of changing melodies, which can be a little obtuse at times, still bears his signature and the unique tonal expression. Yeah, Bonnie Raitt's on the record. You got Bobby Weir within the capsulating record in vocal. I had to feel that this was one of the later recordings of Hornsby that I truly enjoyed and I listened to multiple times and wasn't struggling with it. And I found other joys in hearing it a third time. Another reason for that is the end of the album, which assured that by, it remains that he's always been the kind of melody man, the musician. It's called Take a Light Strain.
Stepping to get it on you. Wheels are spinning, going nowhere soon. Here's your present, no matter the past. The beautiful times will never last. I've been seeking magical thinking. I think I detect a trend. This could be the start of something, or this could be an end. So say goodbye with whisper and a smile. See you real soon, or maybe after a long while. Time is dancing with brightest swirling way. Take a light strain as we are trying to do our best to remain.
Trying to be at his best as well as to try to remain. Now, I'm going to go through some extras. This is going to be relatively quicker than normal considering my compatriot is not here. So I'm going to start off with a band out of Israel, Telegraph. The name of the record is Topography of Mind. This is a keyboard prog traditionalist love affair. And uniquely, slightly psychedelic, too, which is great. Has a great melody and flow to it. It's not overly elongated. Not as many tracks, but it doesn't have those weird keyboard manifestos that bring you to a certain different kind of homage to classical prog, but it'll scratch that itch, no question. Kind of has that early, simpler Floydian murmur with international flavor to it, as well as the presence of Camel, of course. Not to mention, I felt a little bit of Tony Banks in there, the old Tony Banks of Genesis, maybe not in the Phil era, but more in the older Nursery Crime Trespass kind of feel. I love the path this is on. It's well done. There's never over pretentiousness, and it's wonderfully wrapped up, all the arrangements, and it's really, really good. Yeah, I highly recommend. So then I went to Snoop Dogg. Yes, the D-Day. Oh, double G, and it's called 10 to Midnight. Now he's been the death row record holder right now for a bit, but this is completely old school, but not. It's got this property of like a concept record technically because it's a short film about two bank robber brothers, and I think Snoop plays both characters, but um, it's got that great full on presentation of and details that require an artist of his stature and the nature of his flow and rap, and I think it fits genuinely well. I'm not saying I picture him as a bank robber, but there's a great attention to the backing tracks. There's mood, there's tempo. He's not just kind of saying something and walking through, which kind of is happening lately in recordings of the rap nature. Like, I woke up this morning, I went down, that bitch was there, that bitch is here, that whore's on that corner. Just that kind of bullshit I can't stand. I want to be told a story. I want to have a connectivity to it to some way. I don't want to hear about a person walking down the street or he went to a party and everyone's popping stuff or drinking beer and stuff. It's just boring. Yes, the vulgarity ensues. I'm okay with that, but the nature of it is a dirty beast. But it's damn good rap record that engages expertly. It feels more grounded, like it was given a lot more time to stew and produce, to articulate, to write.
Rubber bands, in a shoebox. In a shoebox. 20s, 50s, 100s. In a shoebox. In a shoebox. Rubber bands, rubber bands, rubber bands.
Collar popper, crip walker. All is game, I'm a fast talker. Park my car in the front. I can buy whatever I want. I just pulled up, popped out. Call a play, run a route. Snoopy here, what it did do? You don't like me, but your bitch do. Nigga can't even pull a rack out. Heard last night, cuz got packed out. I can count this in the dark. I'm a shark, nigga, you a mark.
Rather than just popping through. I mean, these guys can do this. I guess it's kind of the equivalent of somebody in the rock arena just kind of going through the motions because it's easy. I don't feel this was. I was way better writing and commitment to the overall scope of what we expect from Snoop Dogg. I think it's one of the best in the last decade, easily, or even then some. And I think people will really like it who have maybe dismissed it a bit or kind of went back to the Super Bowl show at halftime show where you're like going, yeah, this is the Snoop Dogg and Dre and that I love. So then Jose Gonzalez, Against the Dying of the Light. I usually fall under his guitar spell, tone, his storytelling nature. Kind of has a beguiling indie folk, acoustic rock that kind of ensues. And I heard this one was oddly tuned, but more so the recording was kind of muffled, fizzy, fuzzy, and pitchy. Now, maybe that's considering the fact that there was trying to be a rawness to it, considering Against the Dying of the Light, you're fighting the title of the record, maybe.
See how they stole your innocence, how delusions won over common sense. So say
but somehow that didn't help me connect with the lyrical content. There were times where I'm leaning in to hear it, but the guitar's tuning felt like instead of drawing me in like he would normally do, it was pushing me out. So I couldn't hear some of it, and that was kind of not what I was looking forward to from him. Maybe I'll go back to it, but there are other records that I found much more just really, really good, and this one kind of fell away from me. Okay, so here's the one that was on the list, and I backed it out. And I have been listening to this band prior to all the megalomaniacal comments and attention this duo is getting. And I don't care who it is, what it is, doesn't matter to me. This is Angine de Poitrine, or Angine de Poitrine, Volume 2. I've never really looked up or cared how to pronounce it. I think it's a dumb name. Where is this going to go from here? I don't know. But let me break it to you my way. All right. I already dipped my toe in the water a long time back, and suddenly this is coming up again. And I understand why. We miss Primus. We miss Les Claypool. We kind of are still wondering where Buckethead's going to be in his creativity. And is it dulling? Is it repeating? Where does it manifest next? But this album is repetitiveness. But it's interesting repetitiveness. It's presentation, but musically it's repetitive. Now, how unique is it? It's a matter of how much you've really let into you over time. To me, this is not something new to me. This is not avant-garde prog. It's not avant-garde rock. I've heard this before. We've all heard it before, really. Some of us more so than others. I mean, just ask yourself, if it didn't look like it does, would you have spotted it like it is? I don't think you would. It's a fun listen one time, maybe another, but I do appreciate it. But the variety within it is not staggeringly different. And of course, the looping, the presentation of it, right? I would prefer it to be honest, real, and in my face with multiple artists being there playing it, and like Les Claypool's Delirium project or Ghost of a Saber-Toothed Tiger, or even a Buckethead project with Bill Laswell. But I get it, I understand it, and I appreciate it. I know why it's getting to that. But if it shows up on people's album of the year, you'll know where their musical experience is. It's starting to widen. I'll give them that much credit, but there will be other better avant-garde records and positions on this. What did you think of all these records? It's a big undertaking. I get it. There's a lot. The albums just keep coming and coming and coming. The releases this week are crazy. Join me next week. It's definitely going to be, we're going to be driving and crying. There's no question about it. I saw the release, and it's going to be on the list, but there'll be a ton others too. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Of course, articles, videos, podcasts coming soon, all about music, albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. So go beyond your radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. I hope I'll be able to see you on Sunday for Unknown Sunday. Should be a good one. Thanks for watching, and happy listening.